This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. It is not to be construed as an offer, solicitation, recommendation, or endorsement of any particular security, product, or service. For more information, visit assetbuilder.com. From the Asset Builder headquarters in Dallas, Texas, welcome to the Keep It Simple podcast, a show that discusses simple techniques and philosophies to help de-stressify investors around the world. I'm your host, Joey Bottinger, and welcome to the Keep It Simple podcast. Okay, welcome back, everyone, to the Keep It Simple podcast put on here by Asset Builder in Plano, Texas. I want to start out with a question, really, to the audience. If you're listening to this, do you ever feel that your financial life is overwhelmingly complex? You don't know where everything's at. You're wondering where you're going. You're wondering what you have. You're wondering what steps you might need to take, what actions or accounts you might need to open and or close just because they might be a drain on you, or are your expenses too high? Things of that nature, right? Things in this realm, questions that you have that I think everyone has, and rightfully so. And hopefully you have them because that means you're being wise in thinking about your financial future. Well, today we're going to be covering a topic of what are the benefits of having a financial plan, right? And to review that, to go over this topic, we brought in the two best people to answer this question. On my left here, we have Janet Griffith. She is our in-house CFP, and she really covers a lot of and is in charge of a lot of our financial services, financial planning services, and oversees those initiatives. And then on my right here, and first-time guest, we have Tommy Williams. He is our associate advisor, and he works really closely with Janet and the rest of us as well, but really closely with Janet on these financial plans, on building them for people, and making sure the initiatives, the things that we set forth get executed. So with that, Janet, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Welcome, Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy.
I appreciate it. First-time podcaster, so excited to be on and kind of talk about something that's I hold pretty close to my heart. So excited to get into it.
Yeah, man. Have you actually ever been outside of this one? Have you ever been on a podcast?
Not even close. So
Not even close.
Not even close. So excited to do this.
What would determine closeness to a podcast? All right. Before we really get into everything as far as the benefits of a financial plan, let's go over just really briefly what is a financial plan, just so that we make sure everyone who is listening, so that we all three are on the same basis, on the same page about what it is. So Jen, if you want to kick us off with what is a financial plan?
Okay, a financial plan is, well, first of all, it can have a lot of different layers, but generally speaking, a financial plan is going to be where a planner, a certified financial planner, will gather a lot of data from you. And that data is going to involve, of course, all your finances, your assets, your investable assets, your cash in the bank, your home, any loans you have, debts you have, your spending, what does that look like, your job, your revenue. I mean, just so much data that we're collecting. Any outside investments you have, alternative type investments and things like that. So we'll reach out to the client that wants to go through planning, and we'll say, we need these documents. We'll gather a lot of it from certain documents like a check stub, a tax return, and things like that. And then from there, we talk with them. What are your goals? Where are you at in life? Where do you want to be next year, 5 years, 10 years, even 30 years, depending on your age and what we're planning for, right? So we'll build out a plan. We'll build out a base plan, and then from there we'll build out different scenarios, right? And give them options on how to attain these goals that they have in life. So.
Yeah. And I think one thing we tell clients a lot of the time is what you put into it is what you get out of it, right? If you have bad data going into it, it's going to be a rudimentary kind of bad plan, to be honest, because we don't have good data that's going into it. We're not able to fully address your current situation, and therefore we're not able to fully address if you're going in the right direction. So that's something that we have an upfront conversation with clients about a lot is like, hey, we know this initial step is decently intensive. It's a lot of upfront work on your end. But we do that because we want you to, one, to be bought in, and two, because with good data, we can build a better plan, a good plan. So, it is, like you said, it sounds daunting at first of like, I got a lot of documents to send in, but there's a reason behind that, right? We don't just want to say like, yeah, just give us a spending habit and what you're making in your income. There's so much more to it than just that. Yeah.
So you gather data, you analyze that data, you work with the client on what their goals and needs are. You present a plan, but then you have to monitor that plan. You're not done once the initial plan has been given to you. Now we're going to monitor that, and we're going to have, most likely the client will go away with to-dos. The advisor will go away with to-dos. You may have an insurance agent that will have a to-do, So there's a lot of moving parts, but the CFP will quarterback that for you and just kind of help guide you through it. So
Awesome. Tommy, anything to add there? Or
Yeah, I'd say, there's definitely the data part is probably the biggest part, but also a question I like to ask a lot is, what does retirement look like to you?
Yeah.
So there's also that, that kind of emotional factor that sometimes can lead to hard conversations with clients. But really looking what they want to get out of their retirement. And granted, that's an iterative process. So, what they want to do in their retirement might change from when they're 40 to 65, right?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, and it will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I'd say it's just kind of twofold where, there's getting the data in, making sure, everything aligns, and then also really just talking deeply with clients on what they're looking to get out of this plan and also, retirement in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Janet, just because you're in-house CFP, first off, what is the CFP? Right, so people make sure that we're all on the same basis here. And then what is kind of the first thing that you think of as far as the benefits of a financial plan?
Well, a CFP is a certified financial planner. You do go through a fairly rigorous education program to sit for the exam, and there are many, many areas inside of your finances that you have to have knowledge in that range from investment management, investment planning, insurance, your risk mitigation, certainly budgeting, of course, and there's just so many layers, tax planning, education planning, retirement planning, estate planning. So all of these things you need to be aware of, you need to be planning for to have a healthy financial life. And so that's really what we've added these services in the recent years here at Asset Builder because our clients were needing these additional services, especially as they are working towards a specific goal, like education planning or retirement planning. That's a big one that requires a lot of thought and process behind it to make sure that you've got the resources to sustain you for the rest of your life. So that's a big one. We have listed out a few benefits. The first one is, we call it a 360-degree view of your finances. Basically, just having everything in one place in and of itself is eye-opening to most people. It's just, you can see what you're missing, what holes are missing. You can figure out, am I saving enough to meet these goals? What else can I be doing to enrich this aspect of my life? As we all know, we've talked about on the podcast many, many times that your finances is the tool to be able to have freedom, to have resources to live a well-balanced life. And that's really what we're looking at. Is how can we help you to have a better life? So
Awesome. And I guess with the 360 view is, and I kind of want to ask the question, this is to both of you all, how many accounts in general, just real quick, if you can think of this, how many accounts in different companies are those accounts located at? Do you have in general? Because I know I have probably 6 different accounts I can think of off the top of my head right now, located at like 3 different locations as far as companies go.
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's a big thing. And a lot of times, I have clients that are like, I want to do it, but I'm scared because they know it's going to take effort on their part to dig up all this information that we need. And I encourage them, but once you walk through that, that alone is going to answer a lot of questions for you. And we hold their hand through that. Tommy's one that really works with them on gathering that information, where to get it, why we need it, all of those things. But yes, we find clients are like, oh yeah, I forgot. I have this account over here. So you're right. Just really just getting a grasp on your financial picture.
Yeah, and I think the 360 view, there's no other way to really describe it besides a 360 view, just because, like I was saying for my own life, right, 6 accounts that are spread across 3 different custodians or banks. Once I got them all into one location, just my wife and I were able to take a slightly deeper breath. Not that we hadn't even done anything with the accounts, right? We were just, okay, now I can see them all together versus having to flip back and forth between tabs on a browser or things of that nature. So just getting it located in the same software can be nice, right? Let alone having it
and then
pointed
that
towards the goal.
software actually, as long as you're continuing to keep it updated, is dynamic. Changes with you as you go through time. So it's good.
And I'd say with the 360 view, I mean, it kind of brings in, I feel like a lot of people think about, there'll be thoughts about insurance, and then taxes, and then investing, and they're all separate. Bring that all together, I think, is powerful for a lot of people, and it's maybe brings their thoughts differently than they might have prior.
Right.
Yeah, and I think especially like you're saying, I think a portion a lot of people forget, but are also very afraid of, and rightfully so. I mean, I'm not the most energized about it either, is taxes. I mean, they're confusing. They are confusing.
Can be daunting.
And the thresholds and the brackets change on a yearly basis, not drastically, but they change. So things you got to keep up with. So having an idea, maybe not like the most granular perspective, but like an idea and understanding of it is really nice for people. So it helps them, like you said, it helps them calm down a little bit. So tell me, what's another benefit would you say to having a financial plan or getting one set in place?
Yeah, I'd say this probably leads us pretty well into the next bullet point we have here, where a big part of it is just confidence. We have a lot of people that are unsure what their retirement might look like. And I think a financial plan can kind of be a roadmap for them and maybe help them understand, where they can improve, where they have a little bit of wiggle room, and, just give them more confidence in decision-making down the road is a big part, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, making a financial decision can be scary. So if you have a roadmap, as Tommy described it, laying it out for you, then that just gives you the confidence. Yes, this is the next step for me. This is what I need to be working on or working toward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't, like if you're driving to New York, right? If you knew your end destination, which heaven forbid driving from New York and Texas would be a long journey, but at least you'd understand the direction you're going in, and then that way you can plan the stops along the way and have a wise decision, and you understand the length you have to go, and then the amount of stops you need to take in order to get there, right? The moves you need to make. It just helps you out, right? In planning a road trip, like I'm saying right now, like you need to have an idea of all the things that you got around you, your car, what's in it, how big's your gas tank, what's your miles per gallon, things like that. You don't have to know all the different construction sites you might come across, but having an idea helps you make a well-adjusted plan for how you're going to get to New York from Texas. So,
and if you have to make a detour, you can do so with confidence.
Yeah,
knowing,
exactly.
I'm still heading in this direction. I've just got to take a little detour for a short period of time. So I love that. That's a good analogy.
For the unexpected is, it gives you less of that, oh no moment, what am I going to do?
Right.
If you've kind of built in barriers for those, if it may be a major medical expense, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've been thinking about this for years prior, there's less of a worry, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's impossible to know where you're going if you don't even really know where you're at, right? So that's why, like, getting back to that 360 view of like you have everything in one place, it helps you see where you're at. Because I would say, I want to go to New York. Okay, well, if I don't know where I'm currently located, do I go north? Do I go south? I think it definitely helps you make confidence in your next move for sure. As far as, I'm confident I'm going from this perspective northeast. Anyway, I'm very curious, Janet, on your perspective on our next bullet point here, as far as what financial plan can really help you do.
Okay, so number 3 is permission to spend. This is something that is huge as we start working with our retirees who have many of them have spent their entire life working and saving and being responsible at a minimum, some even to the point of frugality, right?
Yeah.
And so to release that is challenging for them. So a financial plan can say to you, you're just not spending enough unless you truly want to leave all this wealth behind for your heirs or for charity or whatever. And that may be their goal. That's fine. But most don't. They're like, no, we want to spend what we earned or spend a good portion of it. So giving them the confidence to say, you know what, you can take. Maybe I've seen where a client will be like, well, you know what? We've got this much wealth. Let's start doing really nice family vacations where they take everybody and they pay for it. And that creates memories now, which is just as valuable as your finances. Memories for yourself and memories for your children, your grandchildren. They'll always be able to look back on. And that's just one example. Travel may not be your thing, whatever it is. I have a client who, and she may be listening, she's new to planning, but I think it's so beautiful. She has a trip planned to take a friend of hers and her son to Antarctica. For
awesome.
a really amazing experience, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, things like that are cool that you realize you have the freedom to do. So that's what one aspect that financial planning can bring to your life.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead.
I think it can also bring in kind of the behavioral biases that people have established from numerous, different options through their life. And, there's some people that get happiness by saving, chipping away, and, just doing their thing over the years. But, if their objective is to, deplete their wealth by the end of their life, it's something that you can kind of bring forward to them and maybe help them adjust their thinking a little bit if they do want to accomplish these goals. Because, there's a variety of, they're called money scripts, but there's a variety of different ways people think about money, and they get happiness from it in different ways. So it brings to light, and maybe something people don't think about as much, in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I would be very, I don't know any studies off the top of my head, but just the number of retirees that have a hard time making that transition from always seeing the account go up to seeing the account go down now, just because they're spending, not because of market volatility or anything like that, but just because they're spending. And so it's, they no longer necessarily have earned income. Yeah. So it's giving them that peace of mind to, one, this is just me personally. When I hear the word spend, I think of spending it on like small, trivial things, but it's also like the permission to give as well, potentially, right? Like, do I need to hold on to this money, or can I bless my family with it while I'm here now? Yeah. I'm not even waiting until they pass away to have them inherited to their heirs. But there was a client I talked to the other day. It was like, I don't want to do QCD. I want to bless my family with it. And I was like, hey, you know what? That's if you get to watch the actual blessing happen versus after you pass away, you don't get to watch it clearly. That's amazing. Like, good for you, right? Yeah. And she had full confidence, and I have full confidence in it as well, that she'd be able to do that, no problem.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's a conversation I have with a lot of my retirees or people that are in their 70s and 80s, is talking to them about giving now instead of waiting for, after you're gone, you're not going to experience any feeling about that, of joy. And giving does bring a good feeling. And being able to give to your kids or your grandkids when they actually might need a little boost. Maybe they need help buying a car. Maybe they need that first down payment on a home. Why not give it now instead of waiting until you pass away? And now they're earning their own good income and don't necessarily need it as much. So just looking for those opportunities, and certainly charitable giving is huge with a lot of our clients, and coming up with strategies for that, where it will even can continue after they're gone, which is cool. And they love leaving that legacy. So there's a lot a lot that can be planned
Yes,
around
absolutely. Yeah.
around that. So
Absolutely. Well, and then so not only permission to spend or permission to give, but also another thing it adds potentially a steady hand during market volatility. And Tommy, I'd love for you to go in this just because you have the most experience here with market cycles and whatnot. No, I'm just kidding. But truly, I would like to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's just, especially right now, we're having some of these conversations, and there are people who are unsteady unsteady during these times. And I think having a plan, you have built out with all of these different things that kind of provide protection for these downturns. So maybe you're not needing to make withdrawals from your portfolio at this time and, sell while the market's down. So things like that, I think it brings other options into play that might, I think for most clients at least, give them a better view on the time and knowing that, it will pass.
right.
And
And knowing that we've built this plan to sustain market volatility, to sustain even a depressed market for a significant amount of time. And we have so much historical evidence around this where we can run these simulations to see what your portfolio would do, even if, as compared to the Great Depression, we can even do that. And that brings some peace of mind to the client, knowing, okay, if this does happen, I'm still going to have enough assets to provide the income I need. So,
absolutely, it's kind of like back to that traveling to New York analogy, right? If you know the direction you're going and something comes up, well, okay, I know where I'm at. I know the direction I'm headed. If I take a small detour here and go this way and then that way, I'll be fine again, right? I'll probably get back on the main road that I need to be on, and we'll be good to go. So, I think, definitely having a plan during market volatility just allows you to watch it happen, watch the market volatility happen, and say, okay, now I'm going to go outside and have a good rest of the day
and
instead of being panicked by what you see in the news. Yeah, exactly.
And go, okay, it will recover. So it's just being disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely. Janet, this next one, 0.5, I'm kind of curious where this came from and what your thoughts are.
So reality check.
Yeah.
We all need a reality check on a regular basis, right? And including in our finances. So I put the example here of someone in their 40s says, you know what, I want to retire by the time I'm 59. And so we can map that out and we can say to them, basically yes or no. You can do that based on what you're doing now. If the answer is no, that won't work for you, then what do you need to do to get there? If that is your goal, then perhaps you need to save more. Perhaps you need to spend less. Perhaps you need to invest differently. So that's all part of that, is just really, really knowing where you're at, where you want to go, and what it's going to take to get there. So,
and I would also say in the reality check, more often than not, people think they can out-invest bad habits, and that's probably not the case, right? And that's where that conversation comes into play of like, look, man, a 14% annualized return, that's hard to get.
Yeah.
That is hard to get. Let's be honest.
Not without a lot of risk, and even then you're gambling.
Yeah. So it's, we can try to figure something out, but again, if you're not doing the day-to-day habits that help build wealth over time, we can't really out-invest that, right? We can't rely on a great return the last 5 years right before retirement so that you can meet your goal. Like that's just a really risky, unreliable way to approach things. So, and I would even say this: a reality check is a really good. I mean, it's good for everyone along the way, but it's really good for young people in particular, right? I think it shows like, hey, what happens if I start saving just $200, $100 now, right? What does that look like versus, I'll put that off until my late 30s or my early 40s or my 50s. I'll start thinking about retirement then. It's like, nah, like reality check is you probably need to start having those conversations and thinking about those things right now. So Tommy, I'm curious, when was the first time you really started thinking about retirement? And also, I guess, tell the audience your age, because I don't know if everyone knows that.
Well, I'm 25, but luckily I grew up with a mother who used to do this. So it's always been a kind of a forefront for, my family. But I guess it kind of leads into another conversation of doing this earlier rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a lot of people want to go into planning after a major life event,
Right.
whether that be your retirement, death in the family, anything of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
It's always better to do it earlier, to start planning for these things, because you never know when they're going to happen. But if it's something you've thought about previously and have a roadmap for it, makes it a lot easier to get over and accomplish.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just turned 30, and I don't think I started thinking about retirement until I was 25 as well. Granted, I think you probably thought about it way before 25, but yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Janet, what about, this is a tell-all moment, segment of the podcast. What was?
Didn't start thinking about retiring until I was 20. I'm sorry, that just sounded a little comical to me. Most people in their 20s don't think about retiring, Joey. So you're ahead of the game, I think. So that's
appreciate
good.
it.
That's
Appreciate
good.
All right, next point that we want to talk about is really uncovering how a financial plan can help you uncover opportunities and risks. So Tommy, I'd love for you to go into that and dive into that. You've been working on a lot of these plans.
Yeah. So a big kind of fact I have from this is, I think let me get the number here, but 2.5% of households utilize 529 plans. So even something as simple as that, there's a lot more than 2.5% of the population that goes to college.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that are not in the forefront of a client's thought. These are things that we can kind of bring into their view and maybe see if it's a right fit for them. So I think about that sort of thing a lot, is, optimizing the way they get to their goal, I'd say. Yeah. It does uncover a lot of things that people don't think about. So that's probably the biggest thing on that.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I don't think everyone most people don't know the limits of an IRA. They don't know the limits of a Roth contribution, the benefits of a Roth. Also, Janet, as the leader in this charge, a lot of people don't understand the benefits of a Roth conversion, right? And so there's a lot of opportunity there. But what are some other opportunities that you think a lot of people tend to uncover in these processes, in the process of creating a financial plan?
Right. Well, to Tommy's point, saving opportunities are a big one, right? How can you meet that goal, whatever it is? If a client says to us, yes, I want to pay for my grandchild's education in 18 years, then perhaps we need to talk to them about a 529 plan. Might cause less stress on their finances than just waiting and paying in 18 years. So things like that, but it also uncovers risks. So let's say a client says, we want to buy this lake house. We found it. This is how much it costs. And we want this to be a second vacation home for our family. And we can run those numbers, and it may say, you know what, this is really going to put too much stress on your future financial freedom. And another reality check, right? But that's just too much risk for you to take on right now. Or perhaps is there here's how much you could do. Let's give them a budget. This is how much you could do, and your portfolio will sustain. So just things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it also brings to the forefront things like long-term care, where it's also just kind of out of thought, out of mind for a lot of clients. And it's more of that, just preparing for the unexpected. If something were to happen to, you or your spouse, where would you be? Where would you be going from there?
Right. And these are very candid conversations we have with our clients. And surprisingly, they're very open to it. So just finding that trusted advisor that you're comfortable talking through these things with, because they're very personal, right? And we respect that, and we honor that, and we empathize when we need to empathize, and all the things. It's part of what we do. It's being a fiduciary. We're to put their needs first, and we take that very seriously. And
I think we take it very seriously. We want to consider all aspects, and we want to be upfront and frank with them, because these things you need to be upfront and frank about, because like you said, it's a tool, and it's a very important tool to allow you to have freedom. And if you're not honest with how strong or weak that tool is at that moment for them, well, then you might be jeopardizing their financial freedom in the future. So that's why we have to have frank, honest conversations. So, all right, Janet, the last point, really the all-encompassing reason why we're really doing this
Right.
podcast, why we want to talk about this thing is what does a financial plan do for you? And I want you to say it because I think this is something you're very passionate about.
Yeah. So absolutely, the overriding benefit is peace of mind. We talk about this a lot as advisors amongst each other about really bringing that to our clients because that just makes everything better, right? Peace of mind, peace in your life. So coming up with a plan, giving them a strategy, giving them a roadmap, absolutely does this for many, many people. So then they don't think about it day in and day out. They know, okay, I already have a plan for this. When that expense comes up, we've already thought about that. We've thought about, okay, you're retiring at 69. How many cars are you going to need to buy between now and the end of your life expectancy? What are we going to pay when the appliances break in the home? How are we going to pay for that? So we've thought through those things for you. And so when that time comes, you're like, I know what I'm doing. I've already made a plan for this. And so it's good to see. We'll be having a meeting with a client, presenting a plan, and you can literally see it over their face, come over their face, just the peace and of knowing that we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Absolutely. And as far as also the piece of like, okay, I had this question and now it's answered.
Right.
Right? Of, okay, my next step
Right.
is blank, right? My next step is saving an extra $100 a month. Like, okay, now I know. I don't have to constantly stress or question, like, am I making the right move? I'm pretty confident in the moves that I'm making. So absolutely. Tommy, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd probably just piggyback on what Janet said, but I think the biggest thing that we've gotten feedback on is peace of mind. But I think there's part of it where, they walk out of the meeting or whatever it may be with financial plan, but also it's a mutual effort. So they have put the time in to think about these things. And, these situations are a stressor for a lot of people. And just the fact that they have, done some of the work, gone through their own things, even if it's just to give it to us, they think about it more and they feel better. They feel more in control than they did before. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I have really anything to add to that other than a financial plan helps you really, I think, sleep at night. I don't think anyone wants to go into retirement anxious all the time or not sleeping well, right? Hopefully you are resting well and at peace with where you're going. So yeah, I mean, if you have any questions for us, please, you can email us at Asset Builder. I think it's support@assetbuilder.com. Podcast. Adam is mouthing to me from the background. Podcast@assetbuilder.com. If you have any questions, if you are an Asset Builder client already, you can reach out to your advisor about these things, asking if building a financial plan might be the wise thing for you. So, yeah. Thank you all for being here today, and I look forward to next time. All right, see you all.
Thank you. Bye.
If you have any questions for Adam or Janet concerning this topic or anything else, please visit us at our home on the web, assetbuilder.com/podcast. There you can find their contact information as well as the show notes for every episode.